Deep within the vast, untamed forests of North America, a legend walks. It's a story whispered around campfires and debated in small towns from the Pacific Northwest to the Appalachian Mountains. This legend has a name that sparks both fear and fascination. Bigfoot. Imagine a creature, not quite human, not quite ape, standing over 7 feet tall. It is covered in thick, shaggy hair, leaving behind footprints so enormous they defy easy explanation. This isn't just a monster from a storybook. For many, it's a living, breathing mystery that has eluded us for centuries. A true giant hiding just beyond the edge of our modern world. The idea of a wild, ape-like man isn't new. In fact, stories like this are woven into the very fabric of human history. For thousands of years, indigenous cultures across North America have passed down tales of large, hairy beings that live in the mountains and forests. These beings often served as guardians of nature, powerful spirits of the wilderness that demanded respect. They were seen not as monsters to be hunted, but as a fundamental part of the natural order, a reminder that some parts of the world remain wild and untamed. These ancient stories laid the foundation for the modern legend we know today. These early tales described creatures with different names and characteristics depending on the region. In some stories, they were gentle giants, shy and reclusive, wanting only to be left alone in their wooded homes. In others, they were more formidable, known to be territorial and strong, capable of throwing large rocks or letting out bone-chilling screams to warn intruders away. These narratives were more than just spooky stories. They were lessons about respecting the unknown and understanding that humanity does not own every corner of the planet. They taught caution and reverence for the deep, dark woods. So, what is Bigfoot? Is it a relic from a prehistoric age? A missing link that somehow survived into our time? Or is it a powerful myth? A collective story we tell ourselves to explain the unexplainable sounds and shadows of the deep wilderness? This question is the heart of the entire mystery. It's a puzzle that pulls explorers, scientists, and adventurers into the forest, all searching for an answer. The search is not just about finding a creature. It's about discovering whether our world still holds a place for such a magnificent and elusive legend. The legend we call Bigfoot today truly began to take shape with a name gifted by the Sinsales people of British Columbia Saskatchewan, which translates to wild man. For generations, they told stories of this powerful being inhabiting the Harrison River region. Their accounts described a giant, hairy creature that lived in the mountains, a figure deeply embedded in their culture and spiritual beliefs. These weren't just campfire tales, they were part of their history, a documented presence in their ancestral lands. The Sasquatch was a real and respected part of their world, long before it became a subject of global fascination. The transition from a regional legend to a national phenomenon happened in the 20th century. In the 1920s, a Canadian schoolteacher and magistrate named J.W. Burns started collecting and publishing these local stories for a wider audience. He was fascinated by the consistency of the accounts from different indigenous groups and early settlers. Burns is the one who anglicized the name Saskets into Sasquatch, a name that would soon become famous. His articles sparked curiosity beyond the small communities of British Columbia, planting the seeds of the legend in the minds of people across the continent. The story exploded in 1958 in Northern California. A construction crew working on a new road in Bluff Creek found something they couldn't explain. A man named Jerry Crew, a bulldozer operator, discovered a series of massive, human-like footprints pressed deep into the mud around his worksite. The prints were too large and too detailed to be a simple prank. Unsure what to do, he made plaster casts of them and took them to the local newspaper. A journalist, Andrew Genzoli, famously dubbed the mysterious creature Bigfoot, and the name stuck instantly, capturing the public's imagination. Suddenly, Bigfoot was everywhere. The Bluff Creek story went viral, inspiring a wave of amateur investigators and thrill-seekers to head into the woods, hoping to catch a glimpse of the creature. It was no longer just a wild man from old folklore. It was a tangible mystery with physical evidence, even if that evidence was just a set of footprints. The legend had found its modern identity and a new home in the American consciousness. The hunt for Bigfoot had officially begun, fueled by a perfect storm of media attention, local testimony, and the tantalizing possibility of a groundbreaking discovery. 9 years after the Bluff Creek tracks made headlines, the most famous and debated piece of Bigfoot evidence emerged from that very same area. In October 1967, two former rodeo riders and amateur Bigfoot enthusiasts, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin, were exploring the Bluff Creek area on horseback. They were hoping to find evidence of the creature that had made the region famous. What they captured on their 16mm movie camera that day would become the cornerstone of Bigfoot lore for decades to come. It was a short, shaky, but utterly compelling piece of film. As they rounded a bend in the creek bed, they claimed to have startled a large, hairy, bipedal creature walking along the bank. In the frantic moments that followed, Patterson's horse reared and he scrambled to get his camera rolling. The resulting footage, just under 1 minute long, shows a tall, muscular figure covered in dark hair striding purposefully away from them. At one point, the figure, which many believe to be a female Bigfoot, turns its head and torso to look back at the camera before disappearing into the dense forest. This single, fleeting glance became an iconic image of the mystery. The Patterson-Gimlin film, as it came to be known, was a game-changer. It wasn't a blurry photo or a plaster cast. It was a moving picture of what appeared to be a living, breathing, non-human primate in the American wilderness. The film was analyzed by everyone from Hollywood special effects artists to primate anatomy experts. Some declared it the real deal, pointing to the creature's unique gait and muscle movement as something incredibly difficult to fake. They argued that the fluid motion and proportions didn't match a human in a costume. Of course, the film also has its fierce detractors. Skeptics have argued for years that it's nothing more than an elaborate hoax, a man in a cleverly designed ape suit. They point to inconsistencies in the story and the background of Patterson himself, who was known to be a showman. Despite numerous attempts to replicate the film, no one has definitively proven it's a fake, nor has anyone proven it's real. And so, the film remains in a state of limbo, a tantalizing piece of footage that continues to fuel the debate and keep the legend of Bigfoot alive and well. So why, in an age of satellite imagery and drone technology, does the search for Bigfoot continue with such passion? The answer is simple. The world's wild places are still vast and largely unexplored. The Pacific Northwest alone contains millions of acres of dense, rugged wilderness where a creature could theoretically live undetected. For believers, the lack of a body is not proof of absence. Instead, it's evidence of a highly intelligent and elusive animal that has mastered the art of staying hidden from human eyes. The search is driven by the thrill of the unknown and the possibility of making the single greatest zoological discovery in history. Modern Bigfoot research has evolved far beyond just plaster casts and eyewitness accounts. Today's investigators, often called cryptozoologists, employ a range of scientific tools in their quest. They set up motion-activated trail cameras in remote areas, hoping to capture a definitive image. They use thermal imaging scopes to scan the woods at night for heat signatures. Some even collect hair, scat, and other environmental samples for DNA analysis, hoping to find a genetic sequence that doesn't match any known animal. The goal is to move the search from the realm of folklore to the domain of science. The belief in Bigfoot is also fueled by a continuous stream of personal encounters. Every year, ordinary people, hikers, hunters, campers, and truck drivers, report seeing something they cannot explain. They describe hearing strange, powerful howls echoing through the trees, finding massive footprints in a secluded area, or catching a fleeting glimpse of a tall, hairy figure darting across a remote road. While many of these sightings can be dismissed, the sheer volume and consistency of the reports keep the mystery alive. For those who have had such an experience, Bigfoot is not a myth, it's a terrifying and unforgettable reality. Ultimately, the legend of Bigfoot speaks to a deep human desire for a world that still holds secrets and wonders. It represents the untamed frontier, a reminder that not every corner of our planet has been mapped, cataloged, and explained. Whether Bigfoot is a real, undiscovered primate or a powerful cultural myth, the search itself is an adventure. It encourages us to look deeper into the shadows, to listen more closely to the sounds of the night, and to wonder what else might be out there, waiting just beyond the reach of our campfire light. The hunt continues, because as long as there are wild places, there will be whispers of the giant who walks among the trees.